Let's find out what is happening with our local news, weather, and sports. We have Bob Miller and Chris Michaels joining us. All right, it is the Morning News Express, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So I think I saw something on social that just said the Morning Express, and I thought, I'm sure it's the Morning News Express, but then I second guessed myself, so.
We only use that when there is no news.
Yeah, there you go.
The not so terrible News Express.
Right.
And speaking of bringing...
What is happening?
I don't know.
You
we
guys
did
got
this on purpose.
Yeah, you guys got to bear with us. I think our internet must be going down here. Hopefully you can hear me good. But, speaking of terrible news, I'm proud to say that Dani started us off with terrible news, talking about rolling her out of the house. Did you hear that?
Well, that's what I told the kids when I moved. I am not moving again. I said they'll have to roll me right out of here.
Yep, then they'll sell the house because there's nobody going to live in it after that happens.
I could only be so lucky just to go to sleep and not wake up. That is the dream for me.
Yep, that would be, I think, for a lot of people that way.
Yeah.
Well,
let's... Oh, my Lord.
Let's understand we're talking about years and years and years and years from now, of course.
Yeah, well, I would hope so. Yeah. I would hope so. But you know what? I live each day as it's my last. So I make sure everybody knows that I care about them and I have a great day every day, or I try to anyway. So
every day's a holiday, every meal's a banquet.
That's right. That is right for sure. So I wanted to ask you guys, I was scrolling social as I do, and there's a bunch of stuff about the Mandela effects. Do you guys, what do you guys think about the Mandela effect?
Crickets.
Nothing?
Yeah.
So the big ones, there are a few big ones. The big ones are the Fruit of the Loom logo having the cornucopia in it. Fruit of the Loom swears it never did, but actually there is a woman on TikTok who disproved that by finding an old t-shirt with the logo with the cornucopia. But previous to that, the corporate team at Fruit of the Loom sent her, hey, this is our logos from when we were founded through today, and they had all these logos on there and none of them had the cornucopia. Do you remember the cornucopia?
I don't know if it was a cornucopia or a fruit bowl. I'm not sure.
I remember because I never knew what a cornucopia was until that logo. So I clearly remember the cornucopia. I'd love to know what our viewers think about some of these Mandela effects. There's a big one about the Berenstain or Berenstein Bears. Do you remember that children's book?
I remember the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I remember is the movie Big with Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I swear. Now, so for people who don't know is it Mandela effect is you share something that you think you remember something that never really happened, right? Is that
that's what they say, that there is a collective memory by many people, but they're saying it didn't happen.
So like in the movie Big, you remember when he goes back to being small and they're walking down the street, right? But I remember a scene where he goes back to school and she did the same thing and went back in age, and she was sitting in the classroom.
Interesting. I don't know if I remember that. I don't know the movie that well enough to remember if that was part of it or not. But yeah, I mean, it's nuts when you think about it. How can many people remember, like the Monopoly guy with the monocle? They swear it's never had a monocle.
Isn't it on the board? Isn't it
not any
cover?
longer?
Oh,
no.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
He did have a monocle.
I know. Yes. So these are the things, right? These are the things that make you kind of go, how is this possible?
So next time you change your underwear and you have Fruit of Loom on, that's what you're going to think about. Fully think about the logo on your drawers. There you go.
Well, thank God you're at least changing. That's what we appreciate. Thank you very much again for a lovely visual this morning.
Yeah, I like to start off your show being classy. That's I'm all about class.
Keep it classy. Keep it classy. I love it. Oh boy. All right. Well, speaking of classy, how about getting us to some not so terrible news maybe this morning?
I don't know if we should call it not so terrible, but okay. All joking aside, I hate reading these. Unfortunately, this seems to be happening a lot around our country. But a Walkersville man was sentenced on Tuesday in the U.S. District Court to 17 years in prison for one count of coercion and indictment of a minor. Excuse my reading here. Paul Francis Blassie's incarceration. Boy, I'm doing really good today. Woo,
all right,
man.
Do we want to start over on this one, Chris? I'm going to give you a pass. We're just going to rewind. Here's your Mandela effect. Nothing. You haven't even spoken yet.
It's like the Men in Black. You take that little thing and you forget everything. Let's do that. A Walkersville man was sentenced, as you can tell, I'm not a professional news guy. A Walkersville man was sentenced on Tuesday in the U.S. District Court to 17 years in prison for one count of enticement of a minor. Paul Francis Blassie's incarceration will be followed by a lifetime of supervised release, and he must pay $83,694 in restitution to his victims. Blassie, 65, will also be required to register as a sex offender. The U.S. Attorney's Office for Maryland says that since 2011, Blassie engaged in live video chats with minor children who were engaged in sexually explicit conduct. He also
Since 2011?
Yes. Isn't that crazy? Since 2011. Yeah.
I mean, that is awful.
Disgusting. And video chats, Dani, of all things, you get a lot of these, these sickos who are texting back and forth, which is sick enough. But we're talking about video chats here, okay? Which is just disgusting with minor children who are engaged in sexually explicit conduct. He also exchanged messages with hundreds of persons on video chat sites who offered access to minor children through webcam. Yeah, absolutely disgusting. So anyway, officials say records of Blassie's activities show that he communicated with an adult in the chat with Blassie. Also, Blassie's electronic devices contained hundreds of images of videos depicting the sexual abuse of children, including pubescent minors, according to court documents. And again, I hate reading things like that. It's so disgusting, and it's happening so much more. And again, we're talking about it, like you said, since it was 2011. This guy's been doing this.
Well, and I watch a lot of these teams of people who help to catch people like that. But and I've got to get the ladies from Hartley House back on, but the trafficking and the things that are happening right in our own town, it's just frightening. And these children, oh my gosh, it makes me sick. Sick.
Absolutely.
These investigators are amazing because when they investigate these sex crimes against minors, they have to get their mindset to be like one of them. And it's just unbelievable how they have to do that, how they do that to protect the innocent. It's just mind-boggling to me.
Well, yeah, and I guess my thing is I don't know, but it doesn't feel like they're catching enough of them, right? So that guy had a whole network of people that he was getting stuff from, and it's just awful. It's just like this never-ending web. But
absolutely, good point. Yeah. It's amazing the network of sickos that are out there that we need to eradicate and get rid of.
It's unfortunate.
Well, the dark web is very, very dark in a lot of places.
It is.
A new community compost drop-off site is up and running in the city of Frederick. It's located at the Willow Tree Plaza off Willowdale Drive. Now, signs will be posted to direct residents to a green-colored bin used for accepting compostable material, as opposed to the blue dumpsters that accept trash. So kind of remember that. City officials say that this new compost site makes participating easier for those living in apartments. They can drop off food scraps and other organic materials in the composting bin. Now, the city says that more than 1,300 residents have signed up for this composting services, which has diverted 671,820 pounds of organic material from landfills since the program began in June of 2022. In a news release, the city of Frederick says it's encouraging all residents to take advantage of this free program. It will contribute to a more sustainable community and help the city minimize its environmental impact.
Interesting. So,
Yep.
in Australia, when we lived in Australia, we had 3 bins. You had your trash, you had recycling, which actually was separated down the middle. So one side was glass and the other side was paper or cardboard. And then we had a greens bin where we could put our grass clippings and our compostable materials, and then they would pick them all up throughout the week. So yeah, it's interesting. You're going to have to kind of take all your stuff and drop it off down there.
So the sad part about that is that I've done that, and they used to have the big composting pile out in Walkersville.
Yeah.
Off of Devil Bridge Road. But, the sad part about a lot of that is, what do people take to the compost pile? Their
Anything
weeds.
that they don't self-regulate.
Yeah, it's not the good stuff. And then a lot of times when you, if you need, a bunch of mulch and you don't want to pay for it, it's great. But be prepared to have everybody else's junk and the weeds. I know we had that happen to our house.
Yeah.
And it took me a year, 2 years just to get rid of all the weeds.
Yeah.
I basically had to dig all that stuff up and take it someplace else, because it's not, double screened. It's not, all the things that you would get at a different, like a mulch company where you're paying for it. So
right. Yeah.
You get what you
I know,
pay for
it's too
sometimes.
bad. That was a great program, and the idea was great. It's just, unfortunately, when you have people, I remember the recycling off of East Street in front of Monocacy Village. They had that there for a long time until people started leaving their mattresses and bikes and things that were, and then they did away with it. So
you can't have nice things because people can't follow the rules. I mean, it's
never
really
have nice things. This is why.
Yeah, it's really is sad. I mean, I go to recycling a place next to the dump over there, and I see people going in there and those bins over there, they just throw the wrong thing in those bins. You have separate bins, throw certain things in there, and they just throw the wrong things in there, and it screws everything up.
Yes.
Well, I don't get me on recycling, because I don't believe much gets recycled anymore.
No.
Nobody's buying the plastic. Nobody's buying. Though I do have, where is it? I have a Diet Coke bottle, and I think it says recycle me, but I bought some the other day that said it was actually made from a recycled bottle, which is great. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with everybody saying, well, it all gets redone, and then they show you warehouses that they're just stocking it in there because nobody's buying it, nobody's reusing it. So
well, I think that the effort that it takes right now to actually recycle is such that it doesn't make sense, right? Even in Frederick, they have to sort it. It's very manual. It's labor intensive, and
they're spending a lot of money to get these people in there to sort all that stuff, because, like we said, people throw stuff in the wrong place. So you have to have somebody sorting them out and putting the material in the right spot.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
All right, getting back to news here. A horse in Frederick County recently contracted the West Nile virus. The Maryland Department of Agriculture said the horse started showing disease symptoms earlier this month and was tested. The animal came back positive for West Nile virus. The MDA says that the horse has been vaccinated and has recovered. Cases like these should remind horse owners to remain vigilant of the treat of mosquito-borne illnesses throughout the summer, says Maryland Secretary of Agriculture Kevin Atticks. In a statement, we urge horse owners to speak with their veterinarians about vaccinations and remind veterinarians throughout Maryland to report any case of equine arboviruses to the department. I wonder how much that costs to get your horse vaccinated, it's got to be expensive, and people have 4 or 5 horses. I mean, but then what's the alternative? Having
Horse
to take them
care
to vet.
is very expensive, from shoeing to vet to food. Yeah. It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah. Support your local veterinarian.
Yes.
Absolutely. Take a look at weather today. Sun and clouds mixed, high 97. Tonight, clear skies, low 73. And tomorrow, sunshine and clouds mixed. Stray shower or thunderstorms is possible, high of 97. And I got to that first news report much better the second time around. Thank you for that redo, Danny. I appreciate that.
Anytime. All right. What's happening with sports, Bob?
Well, we're going to use a term that I love better than all terms, and maybe Chris would learn the word brevity, but I'm just saying, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't say that. Corbin Burns took a 2-hitter in the 7th inning. Ramon Urias and Anthony Santander homered for the Orioles. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays 6-2 on Tuesday night. The article actually says the depleted Toronto Blue Jays. Nobody cares. You know, when it's the Orioles having the injuries, or if it's your football team having the injuries, nobody cares. You lost. Baltimore built up a 4-0 lead. They are 6-6 since the All-Star game and remain on top of the American League East. They got a day game today in Camden Yards, 12:45 first pitch. They also have a few new people on the team. They acquired left-hander starter Trevor Rogers. They are sending Connor Norby and outfielder Kyle Stowers, to the Miami Marlins and for Trevor Rogers. They also picked up Eloy Jimenez and from the White Sox and reliever Gregory Soto from the Phillies. The biggest move was not really a trade. It looks like Jackson Holliday, the number 2 prospect in baseball, is on his way back to Baltimore to rejoin the Orioles. Nobody's really announced it yet, but of course, sources with the team with direct knowledge have confirmed that to the Baltimore Sun. Nats had the day off yesterday. They're on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Keys got whopped by the State College Spike by a score of 8-0.
I wonder if that's why nobody wants the free tickets I'm giving away. It's still fun to go to the ballpark, people. Come on.
Yeah, which ballpark are you talking about? Harry Grove?
Yes.
Yes, it's a great time at the ballpark. I mean, it's lots of fun. I think the problem with that whole situation is that they're not affiliated, and people want affiliated baseball.
I know.
They really do. They want to see a rehab from the Orioles and Frederick. They want to see, even if they're with the Nationals, whatever that would be. And I know that the city has tried. It wasn't their fault that they got unaffiliated. It was Major League Baseball who did that. But I think a lot of people want to see, all the players. Manny Machado played for the Keys, and so many other guys played for the Keys that you can remember.
I remember
and
David Segui and Pete Rose Jr.
Yeah, and Cal Ripken's son played there as well for a little while.
Yes.
So, I mean, and it would be great. People would love to see, like, Jackson Holiday would have been nice there. I know if they can get that done, but it's still, they do everything they can to make that an experience. And you may see somebody who won't be on the Orioles, but he could be on the Yankees or the Mets down the road.
That's right. I mean, these guys who are playing to be drafted. So they, they really are trying to be on the stage so that they can take that next level. So
here, look, I'll entice people for you, Danny. By the way, thank you, Bob, for saying Mets. I appreciate that. I looked up the word brevity, and just to let you know, I do use the exact use of the words. It's just the words are wrong normally that I say. But to entice your listener or your viewers to come to the Keys game, I'll be broadcasting live here coming up. I just don't know if it's this week or next week. I have to look at my schedule, which is like this long of things I got going on here. But I will be broadcasting live with WFMD here coming up soon.
All right. Well, when you know, we will let everybody else know. And, of course, there will be throngs of people coming to see you, I'm sure.
And he'll just walk around like this all day. Oh, yeah, look at my arms. Look at my arms.
Would you guys stop giving me words I have to Google? Throngs? I don't even know what that means. Brevity, throngs. I'm having to Google everything that you guys talk about here.
Well, we'll let you Google it, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.
Don't Google your throngs.
Oh, boy. I'll see you guys
later. Have a great one, Danny. Good morning, Frederick.
Good morning. Oh, my goodness.